This is Freeman, and you're listening to the Jungle Apocalypse.
The economy is the human activity that consists in producing, exchanging, distributing, and consuming goods and services.
Who are you, Freeman?
Who am I? That is the question everyone is asking.
Okay, John, how did you get started doing this?
Of course, I'm going to talk about slippery slope, because if I talk about, honestly about how it started, then people would say that's kind of new agey, but I'm not.
Around 14,000 years ago, you know, when you had all those woolly mammoths freeze, you know, with buttercups still in their stomach, all that weight pushed down all those continents.
The idea here is to keep the fodder separated. I kind of illustrated in my podcast that if you're a prison guard, if you look at any prison, there's way more prisoners than there are prison guards.
No, I don't call myself an expert. You know, we're all students. No matter how much we know, there's always something else to learn. So.
And now, the Jungle Apocalypse.
Apocalypse here, back for another wonderful episode. Sorry as we get things going here. Whoa. Okay, there we go. We've got a hell of a show for you guys tonight. I'm really impressed with our lineup tonight, so I hope you all like it. Coming up first, we got David Wendell from Bushcraft on Fire on YouTube. He's going to stop by and we're going to talk a little bit about preparedness. And then, which kind of plays into our next guest, John Kuhles will be here from ExomatrixTV, whynotnews.eu. He's going to be here to talk about the recent sightings in the world after the October 13th prediction, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about all the sightings that have happened over the year, because it seems to be that every time you turn around, a new video is showing up on YouTube that you can't really question. It's just absolutely amazing. And then in our final hour, we'll be talking with Scott from the Believers Underground, which also all plays into this, with an update on post-glacial rebound, to let us know where he's been. He's been out on a walkabout, so he should have some interesting things to relate to us. Anyway, if you're here looking for John Moore, sorry, John had a scheduling conflict, and we are currently rescheduling that interview. And next week we have Dan Dix from pressfortruth.ca coming on, and we'll be talking about his latest film and his activism at the G20 summit that happened in Toronto over the summer. So I hope you all like what's coming up. I just want to play a few things here while I get things set up on my end. I'm running a little bit behind schedule, so here's one of the videos that BunkerTV did, BunkerTV being our studio, which doesn't sound nearly as fancy as, or isn't as nearly as fancy as it sounds. Anyway, this is the most deadly job, and this talks about the deaths relating to conspiracy theories in the last, I don't know, 20 years or so. Anyway, we'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to stop that one a little early. That's something I don't want to talk about right at this very moment. I have some comments to make about some events that happened over the last few days about that, but we'll get to that at the end of the show. Anyway, I'm going to see if I can get David Wendell from Bushcraft on Fire on the line here on Skype, so let's give him a second here.
Hey, Rob.
Hey, David, how are you doing?
Doing great, my friend. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm excellent, excellent. Just getting ready for our nice cold winter up here. How's things down that way weather-wise?
Oh, we had a chill for a while. You guys are sending us some of your weather, but it's warmed up again a little bit. We're looking at 75 during the day and about 45 to 50 at night. So,
do you know what that would be in Celsius for our Canadian listeners?
Oh, off the top of my head, Rob, I'm guessing about 20 during the day and around 10 to 11 at night.
Oh, wow. Well, that's not too bad then.
Yeah, not too bad. But we're starting to winterize. We've been spending some time over the last couple of weeks beginning to winterize.
Okay, well, what do you do when you start getting ready for the winter down there? Like, is there some tips you can maybe throw out?
Yeah, we live on a small farm, Rob, so one of the things that we do is make sure that our barns are insulated. We use basically newspaper and stuff. We don't go to big expense, buying expensive insulation, but newspaper, just make sure everything's boarded up so that there's no problems. In our home, of course, we put up some plastic over the windows, and then we'll make sure our insulation is good underneath of the house, and things like that. Get the swimming pool torn down. You know, the rough life kind of stuff.
Yeah. Do you have a plan for the swimming pool? Well, I guess, do you guys have power where you're at?
We do. We're on the grid right now. We're hoping to get off the grid at some time in the future, but it's cost prohibitive for us at this moment. We're going to start small. I'm looking at some passive heaters. I'm not sure if your listeners are familiar with that, but you can make some passive heaters with conduit, or actually soda cans they use, and they take the cool air from outside, warm it up, and then blow it into the house. And we're looking to do some of that possibly this year, and then start to get on something of grid. We have a lot of wind up here. We're on top of a hill, so we may look into windmill generator kind of electricity.
Okay. Yeah, like solar's very expensive from what I've seen anyway. It's something
right.
up here. Like, well, we're with our situation here, it's kind of hard to even exist off the grid with solar and all kinds of other things. It's very cold.
Yes, I would think that in your temperate zone it would be really, really difficult. I know there's people that have done it, but I'm not a guy who thinks that 40 degrees inside is warm.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You kind of get used to it, you do. But I guess in the situation where I live, I'm in a townhouse in the middle of the city of Yellowknife, so for me to live off the grid is virtually impossible. But if you have a cabin outside, it is possible to prepare for. Dave, you know, there's been a lot of things going on in the world, and I'd like to give people a chance to find out some, you know, basic skills and tools that they should have at their disposal and should know how to use. Do you have like a basic list of bushcraft tools that you would recommend?
Sure, Rob. The first tool that I would recommend, and I think that it's the most important tool, is knowledge. You can make an awful lot of things if you have a knowledge of how to use those things and what to do once that you are in a situation that demands. Improvisation is incredibly powerful, and one of the things that we've forgotten how to do as a society is to think and to improvise wherever we're at. You know, you don't have to have a knife. You can use a stone. Our Stone Age friends from long, long ago did that for many, many thousands of years. And, you know, relatively new technology, things such as knives and saws and now electric tools, are only a very small time frame on the overall picture of how long man has been around. So can we do without it? Sure we can. But knowledge, I think, would be the most important thing. The second thing I would suggest, Rob, is that people do pick up some hand tools, not power tools. If the grid goes down, you've got to be able to survive without power tools. So a good handsaw and a good file. Learn how to sharpen your tools by yourself. a hand drill, they call them augers, is a really good thing to have. Things like that would make your life a little bit more simplistic and effective as you're working through things. You're going to have to learn how to make things. You're going to have to learn how to start fires without electricity, for example. You're going to have to learn how to take and turn a 55-gallon drum into a stove. You're going to have to be able to heat your house. You're going to have to be able to learn how to keep food cool in the summer without having electricity, without a refrigerator. You know, if something big goes down, those are some of the things that I think are very, very important.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. You know, I never even thought of getting like hand tools. I know how to use them, amazingly enough. My grandfather was a carpenter, but like, I guess I've always just planned on having a generator with me, but, you know, the more I think about that, it might be kind of hard to find fuel for it. So,
yeah, that's the one thing, Rob. People look toward a lot of ideas that are great in society, the way that we live in society right now. But my guess is if the grid goes down, unless you have 500 gallons of fuel sitting on your property somewhere, fuel will be out within about an hour to 2 hours. Probably where we live, we might get 3 or 4 hours that we have to get some fuel set aside. So say the grid's down for 6 weeks. Say the grid's down for 6 months, but just go 6 weeks. How long will a couple hundred gallons of gas last in a generator? Probably not that long. So, yeah, we've got to learn alternative ways of living and different ways to do things.
Yeah, maybe move at the most simplistic of all, you know, our skill sets that we can find. How do you recommend people learn bushcraft skills? Like, is there a method that you prefer?
Well, sure. The first thing they need to do is go out and check out YouTube. I mean, there are so many things out there today, Rob, and there are so many different channels with very highly skilled people. We are just one channel out there, and we've been around for about a year now. We're coming up on 1 million hits, and we've got over 7,300 subscribers. So there are people interested in this, and they are watching not only our channel, but many other channels that are out there. Books, there are great books out on the market and different ideas that you can get. Books as far back from the early 1900s up to books that were published last year and a couple years ago. What I would recommend people stay away from are novelty ideas, and I think that's even more important. Things like Survivor Man. You know, it's some of the people on TV are okay, but most of those shows are entertainment shows, and you're not going to go out and do things that these people do and live very long because they take a lot of risks to make the show entertaining and stuff. They do show some skills, and that's good. But no matter how you learn, Rob, whether you learn off the TV, whether you learn off of books, whether you learn off of YouTube, or by listening to shows such as this, or live classes even, you need to put the dirt time in. You need to get out there. You need to spend time working your skills, practicing your skills over and over and over again. I mean, I've been teaching now for almost 15 years. And I still practice the hand drill, the bow drill, you know, different kinds of fire making, different kinds of knife work regularly, almost every day. I mean, I've made probably 10,000 or more bow drill fires. And if you don't practice, you're not going to own the skill. It's just like anything else.
Most definitely, yeah. You know, I got a real eye-opening experience this summer when I decided, you know, okay, the snow's gone, it's time to get out there and try some of these bush skills that I've, you know, been watching on YouTube. I've watched a lot of your videos, and Jack from the Survival podcast. And the first thing I noticed is that lighting a fire without any sort of anything with you. Like, I just went out to the bush to try, you know, make my own bow drill and start a fire with rocks and, you know, do a few different things. And I never even got one fire lit for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days out there practicing. So it's something, you know, if you're not out practicing this stuff, you're selling yourself short.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that just sit back and think, okay, I can do that. It's easy enough, and they really don't understand the skills, and they don't understand that nature doesn't always work the way that you want it to work, and it doesn't always turn out the way that you would hope it would work. So there's always a good idea to have backups, but knowing your skills, Rob, is definitely a plus. And I highly suggest that people go out there and spend time in the dirt doing these things. You can't learn them from watching a video and not doing anything. One of the videos that we have upcoming very soon is going to be a video. When I hit 1 million views, I'm going to actually do a giveaway. And I'm going to do a video giveaway where people have to make a video of them making a fire with one match. Your match goes out live on the video, you lose. You get one match, and you need to make the fire, and whoever does it in the shortest time, and I'm not going to give it all away, but that's just a basic of it. So it's not as easy as it sounds. When you know that's your only match and you're lost out there in the bush, you better make sure you know what you're doing and can be able to do it. And there's a lot of people that can't light a fire with a match.
Well, that's true. It's not nearly as easy as people like to say it is, that's for sure. David, one thing that intrigued me about our last conversation is we were talking about how you're a vegetarian and how it's easier to sneak up on a dandelion than it is a rabbit or whatever. I'm just wondering, do you have a top listing of natural foods that you can find in the wild quite easily and identify?
Yeah, I do. When I go out to classes, we don't do a lot of edible identification of intricate items, but what we do is talk about the big four. And I would be happy to give your listeners that big four.
Sure.
The big four is basically grasses. All grasses are edible, Rob. And cows, deer, all the animals that we eat a whole lot if we are out there hunting, live almost exclusively off of grass, tree bark, things like that. So grasses are edible. They are nutritious. Of course, you don't want to ingest the grass because your body can't deal with the excess cellulose. So you would chew it up and drink the juices that you would get from it. You've maybe noticed if any of your listeners are kind of people, one of the big things today in health is wheatgrass, which is just that. It's baby grass, and you blend it up and drink it, and it's pretty good, actually. So grasses are one of the four edibles all the time that are very easy to identify and get. Another is a pine tree. Spruce trees. But pines typically have very high vitamin C content. Back in the early days of our country, we had many people that would die while they were sitting underneath of pine trees, and they would die of scurvy, which is a lack of vitamin C. And all they had to do was reach up and grab some pine needles and chew them, or put them into some water that had been boiled and steep them for 5 minutes and make a tea that is very, very high in vitamin C. And a couple of glasses of pine tea a day will actually help you with your vitamin C content to where you won't get real sick, just like taking vitamin C off the shelf. You can also eat the inside of a pine tree. It's not very tasty, but it tastes like a pine tree, but it is edible. You can take and use the inner bark, which is right under the hard, worn bark on the outside. Most people that are familiar with pine trees know it's a very thick bark, and if you pull that bark off, there's a fine white cambium layer underneath, and you can actually boil that in water, and it is ingestible, and it's a survival food. The third thing would be cattails, and cattails are well known as the supermarket of the bush, and they really are. If you have cattails available, the rhizomes underneath the ground can be used to get flour from. The cattail heads in the spring can be used to get pollen from as a flower extender. The cattail heads themselves are edible in the very, very early process of when they're being formed. You can just boil them up and eat them very much like a hot dog is what they look like. They taste like maybe steamed cauliflower. You can also eat the young shoots. You can just pull them right out of the ground and eat the shoots. So cattails are very, very widely used as edible plants as well as medicinal plants. They've got a lot of medicinal properties as well. And the other is nut trees. We say oaks, acorns, but there's hickory nuts, there's chestnuts, there's all different kinds of walnuts and different things across the United States and Canada that can be used. And nuts have a huge fat source in them, which is really good if you're out in a survival situation as well. So those would be the big four, Rob. There are some other things that everybody knows in life, like dock and dandelions, which are edible, can make good drinks. And, you know, I would suggest that people learn the big four and then go ahead and get a book and learn some of the more common plants in their area. And that will certainly help to sustain you in lean times.
Okay, excellent, excellent. That's going to give me a lot of stuff to practice up here. Okay, this might be a little bit off of your game per se, but you know, we were talking about the guys on TV like Les Stroud or Bear Grylls, and one thing you see them eating a lot of is bugs. Now, is it possible to eat a lot of bugs? Does that really work for you?
You know, I don't eat them, Rob. I'm not going to lie to you, but a good friend of mine, Dr. Ron Hood, his phone number was actually bugs. I mean, you know, there are people that eat a lot of bugs. If you look at animals like bears, bears break into logs and they eat a lot of larvae. They eat a lot of bugs. One of the things you want to do is generally not eat bugs without cooking them first. This is my opinion. There is a lot of different things that bugs carry, such as worms and different kinds of viruses that you could pick up if they weren't cooked properly. But I you know, as a source of meat, yeah, I mean, bugs are very high in protein. I have eaten, before I was a vegetarian, I have eaten grasshoppers. Again, they do carry parasites, so you want to cook them. But they are certainly edible as far as food value. They would certainly have food value. If I lived in your neck of the woods, Rob, and by the way, we were just up in your neck of the woods back in July. We weren't probably 200 miles from you, brother.
Oh, really?
Up in Edmonton. Yeah, we're up in Edmonton. We did some survival work up there, as well as I ministered a funeral for my wife's brother who had died back in December. It was a memorial service, so we were up there. But if I was in your neck of the woods and I was not a vegetarian, my first choice would be salmon. Any kind of fish. Fish are generally a lot easier to come by than wild game. The second choice, of course, then would be wild game. And if I was absolutely dying and starving, I may resort to the bugs. But again, that's not my cup of tea, if you understand.
Yeah, I can't see myself doing that one. I'm almost scared to try to practice that survival skill. I think I'm just better off waiting until I'm hungry enough to do it.
Yeah, you definitely have to get past what they call the gag factor, because it's not something that we're used to eating. So you might take and crush your bugs up and put them in some bread or something for some extra protein in there. If you're making some kind of bread or biscuit or something, crush them up real good and put them in there. Just eating them raw, I don't know, Rob.
Yeah, that whole Bear Grylls thing where he picks them up and just crunches them down. I can't see me doing that, but you never know. I guess if things got bad enough, I might have to do that.
There you go.
All right, David. Well, I kind of wish we had a little more time to chat, but with all this UFO stuff going on, I got to cover it, unfortunately. We'll have to have you back up in the next few weeks, and we'll do a full show, and maybe you can give out some good skills and whatnot. What's the best way for people to contact you?
Rob, the best way is to go out to our YouTube, which is Bushcraft on Fire, out on YouTube, and that will get them in touch with us either through YouTube, or my email address and my website is also out there on my YouTube site, so that would be the best way. Now, could I say something, Rob, real quick?
You sure can.
Limited time here.
No, that's fine.
I went out to BunkerTV.com there, and I want to encourage all of your listeners to go out there and to support you. I saw that you were doing a drive, and I actually went ahead and made a donation. I believe in what you're doing, and I hope your viewers do as well, and that they will go out there and support you, because you're doing a great work, Rob, and we really appreciate it. You may not get as much feedback as you hope to, but know that there's a lot of people listening, and that there's a lot of people that are standing behind you. So I hope they'll get out there and that they will support you in what you're doing.
Well, thanks a lot, David. I really appreciate that, because you know, it's one thing we gotta all work together at this point, and community is all we'll have, and you know, the internet is a wonderful tool for that. So we hope to really foster an environment where everybody will get together and have a chance to sit down and talk. So well, give Tam and the family my love, and we'll be talking with you soon, David.
I'll do so, brother. We appreciate you, and thanks for the opportunity to be on the show again.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Be blessed.
Okay, folks, that was David Wendell from Bushcraft on Fire on YouTube, and we're just going to play a few songs here while I get things set up, and when we get back from the break, John Kuhles from ExomatrixTV is going to be here, and we'll be talking with him about the recent UFO sightings all across the world. And, well, we only know where that conversation is going to lead. At the top of the hour, if everything works out properly, we'll be talking to Scott from the Believers Underground. I'm not sure if that technology is going to work right for us. It's going to be a live test run here on the air, so we'll see if that happens or not. If not, we'll see maybe if John can stay with us a little bit. Anyway, we'll be right back.
You're on the air. Hello. Hello. Yeah. Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time. Well, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not. Area 51. Were you an employee or are you now? I'm a former employee. I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the country. I don't know where to start. They're gonna they'll triangulate on this position really, really soon. Well, you can't spend a lot of time on the phone, so give us something quick. Okay, okay, well, what we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra-dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of the space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51. The disasters that are coming, the military, the government knows about them, and there's a lot of safe areas in this world that they could begin moving the population to now. But they're not doing anything. They're not. They want the major population centers wiped out so that the few that are left will be more easily controllable.
A lot of people are looking up is because of a mystery in the sky. Is it a balloon, a UFO? Whatever it is, it sure has a lot of people talking. Eyewitness News reporter Jeff Begase is live in Chelsea where crowds have gathered. Jeff, what's this all about?
Well, Sade, we don't know, quite honestly. And when I got this assignment, I thought for sure somebody in the newsroom was joking. And it wasn't until we pulled up to this corner and saw the passersby looking up that we realized that, okay, maybe there is something in the sky today.
Oh, snap. Yeah.
You got it? It's a bird, it's a plane, it's,
Maybe Superman, maybe Wonder Woman.
You'd rather it be Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
There is something up there, and there's been a crowd of people at the corner of 8th and 23rd Street trying to figure out exactly what it is. I think I see it now. Right over there.
Right there.
But there's another one over here?
I just see.
I see those two over there.
Earlier today, it was over here.
I think it's a balloon. I don't know.
You think it's a balloon?
Yeah.
All right.
But then again, balloons don't stand still.
Maybe we're not all just seeing things. The city is reporting that they've been getting calls about this mystery in the sky to their 311 line. So far, they don't have an answer.
What is that?
To that question either. Well, what do you think it is?
I don't know.
You don't want to say it.
I'm looking for the mothership.
Did she find it? Well, still a mystery. We don't know. We did make some calls, and we found out from the FAA that their planes aren't being affected by these white lights. Not that that answers the question. So it remains a mystery. Everybody out here seems to have an opinion on it. I was told that there have been some people out here just standing around looking up for about 45 minutes trying to figure it out. We're live in Chelsea. Jeff Pegues, Channel 7 Eyewitness.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Steve and Cheryl, for that much too generous introduction. If my late mother were here, being my mother, she would believe every word of it. If my late father were here, being a realist, he would probably wonder who you were talking about. But introductions of that sort remind me of the small boy who fell headfirst into a barrel of molasses. And when they pulled him out, he licked some of the molasses from his face and said, "Lord, make my tongue adequate to this occasion." Well, actually, this is not my night for humor, and I'm not a match for either Stephen or George. So I'm not even going to try to be funny. Except my first line, and that's after this wonderful banquet, I think that I have exceeded the feed limit. Bad humor, you better believe it. I wish that I were in a mood for good humor, but I'm not. We are hell-bent in the direction of destroying our planet, and frankly, we appear to be doing very little about it. Decades ago, visitors from other planets warned us about where we were headed and offered to help. But instead, we, or at least some of us, interpreted their visits as a threat and decided to shoot first and ask questions after. The inevitable result was that some of our planes were lost, but how many were due to retaliation and how many were as a result of our own stupidity is a moot point. Wilbert Smith, one of the first Canadians to take an active interest in the subject of UFOs, asked the visitors about the accidental destruction of our aircraft by flying into the vicinity of a flying saucer. The response, and this is Wilbur's words, "We were informed that although a few of our aircraft had come to an unfortunate end by what they considered the colossal stupidity of our pilots, they were now taking corrective measures to avoid our aircraft. I asked them, and this is still Smith, I asked them what happened, and they said, well, the fields around the saucers in order to hold them up, in order to produce the gravity differential, the time field differentials which were necessary to operate the ship. These sometimes produced field combinations which reduced the strength of materials to the point where they were no longer strong enough to carry the loads that the materials were expected to carry. Now, as we know, aircraft, particularly the military type, are built with a rather small factor of safety. And in these regions of reduced binding, the materials are no longer strong enough to carry the load, and the craft simply comes apart. When I read that, I was reminded of the late, great soprano Lily Pons, who used to smash crystal goblets with her high C. She would direct the sound at them, and something in the sound waves would change the structure of the glass, and it would fly apart. Well, this didn't satisfy our military chiefs, who must have thought that it was more important to secure American nuclear superiority, even though using it would result in the annihilation of us all, than to take the hint and start moving the planet back from the brink of global disaster. They, the military, must have been and still are so paranoid that they feel it necessary to use the visitors' technology to fight them off, rather than welcome them as partners in development, though they may have seconded a few renegades to assist them in what can best be viewed as diabolical developments. Stephen has said that talking about UFOs is passé, and that we should be talking or limiting our talk to EXoPolitics. Well, Stephen, I agree with you in theory, but in reality we have a problem when official U.S. policy insists that UFOs don't exist. The veil of secrecy must be lifted, and it has to be lifted now, before it's too late. It is ironic that the U.S. would begin a devastating war, allegedly in search of weapons of mass destruction, when the most worrisome developments in this field are occurring in your own backyard. It is ironic that the U.S. should be fighting monstrously expensive wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, allegedly to bring democracy to those two countries, when it itself can no longer legitimately claim to be called a democracy, when trillions, and I mean thousands of billions of dollars, have been spent on projects about which both the Congress and the Commander-in-Chief have been kept deliberately in the dark. How much has been accomplished in 60 years of feverish activity by some of the most educated minds in the United States? Has America developed flying saucers that are visually indistinguishable from the visitors, as alleged? And if so, what do they propose to do with them? Even more critical, what progress has been made in the development of clean energy sources that could conceivably replace fossil fuels and save the planet from becoming a veritable wasteland? Well, who has the answers? Someone does, but apparently they aren't telling either secretaries of defense or presidents, because they don't have, quote, a need to know. In a story told by Dr. Stephen Greer, President Clinton was asked a question by White House reporter Sarah McClendon about why he didn't do something about disclosure. And Clinton replied, "Sarah, there's a government inside the government, and I don't control it." Excuse me, doesn't the Commander-in-Chief And the person who allegedly has their finger on the nuclear trigger have a right to know what his subordinates are doing? The people of the United States who have paid the bills have the right to know. The people of the world demand to know because it is our descendants too whose lives are in mortal danger. It is time for the people of the United States to launch a new war against the evil of lies, deceit, and darkness, and go all out to win the victory of truth and transparency and light. Thank you.
Okay, folks. That was a former Canadian defense minister speaking at the University of Toronto, I believe, and going over a bit about what's been going on with the cover-ups regarding the alien recoveries and technology that the U.S. government has been using. Oh, sorry, my vocals were quite low there. So right now we're going to bring up John Kuhles from ExomatrixTV and whynotnews.eu, and we're going to have a little chat about the recent events in the UFO world. So let's bring John up on the air. Hello, John.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm cool. There's a kind of delay when I was watching your video online. Hey, you're doing really great, Rob. Really congratulate you with your new television show. It's really cool that you also can see your face.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's kind of scary in a way. I've never actually done TV or anything before, so this is the first time I've exposed myself to the masses, but
yeah, there are also some people from paltalk.com listening to this show as well, and I give them the it's BunkerTV or -TV.com. That's the link that I was spreading all over the place, including on ExomatrixTV subscribers as well.
Oh, excellent. Well, I see we have quite a few viewers on the chat room here, and I'd like to invite everybody to go to the website over at bunker-tv.com, and you can jump in the chat room there. And what's the Pal Talk chat room, John?
It's I'm not sure if the owner of the Pal Talk room is still there. It's the Wake Up Project, not to be confused with wakeupproject.com, because that's a different group. But there is the Wake Up Project. Is best to be found if you just type in Wake Up Project and then .whynotnews.eu, because I also did a tribute site for them as well.
Oh, okay, perfect. So, John,
I think yeah. Sorry, I have to be sure that I'm saying it correctly, because I maybe made the mistake that it is the Wake Up or Wake Up Project. I have to check it out first. So give me a second. On ExomatrixTV, on the left side, you see all those tribute sites that I've built. You know, I'm building websites for free, and one of them is, of course, the latest ones is Wake Up Project -paltalk.whynotnews. That's the link you have to go to. Just Wake Up Project -paltalk.whynotnews.eu. You can see it also on ExomatrixTV. You see 21 links that I built. All those sites is for free. Just all tribute sites to promote different kinds of view and different truthers, helping them. Even Christians, even atheists or Muslims. I don't care less, as long as you're sincere and genuine and promoting self-honesty.
well, excellent. You know, you do great work, John. I really love the tribute sites you do and stuff. And you must work pretty tirelessly at this work, eh?
It's kind of interesting that you say that about effort and effortless. It becomes effortless if you do it from the heart and if you have fun. But if you, let's say, you have a hidden agenda, then it will drain energy out of you, because you're becoming like a someone who wants to push people or wants to put people in a certain direction, which I don't. I rather promote that people are self-responsible, self-aware, and want to self-empower to liberate themselves from any agenda or any system or any need to belong to anything. And then people say, wait a minute, how can you say that? Because you need to so-called join a movement. That's what people always think or expect, that you need to join a movement. My talk or my take on it is that I want to have a non-movement, but a network of independent thinkers helping each other. So you see, it's a whole different tactic.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree. Okay, John, the reason we had you up, or I wanted to get you on to talk about was what's been going on with the well, I don't know if you want to call it disclosure or not, but we've been having major sightings across the world this year, and it seems like it's really ramped up in the last couple days. Can you maybe give us a run-through of what's been going on?
Yes, first of all, I have to be very clear that I'm researching UFOs for 20 years now. I organized conferences, I gave over 80 lectures on the topic. You know, I've written articles about it, interviewed over 100 authors, documentary makers, producers, and on and on and on, including Ministry of Defense Nick Pope, Dr. Michael Sala, you know, all those people were involved in making sense of this huge, vast, complex issue, because people think it's just Venus or this alien. I mean, come on. It's much deeper than that. So, and yes, what is happening is the statement that I want to make about UFOs is that when someone films something that is obvious, different than a weather balloon, or different than a reflection or you know of light on a flock of birds, or laser lights hitting clouds, you know, that is also sometimes a UFO, but it isn't. We talk about the genuine, you know, the real thing that is still unidentified, but that doesn't imply it must be alien. For me, any kind of technology that is being presented is no evidence whatsoever for me that it must be alien. It can still be a military project. It can be, you know, black ops, or it can be man-made technology that they have this agenda of promoting, indeed, a world government, one world government, and that the so-called presence of an alien, and that it will be acknowledged in the future by, for instance, the Pope that is promoting it, the Vatican, and then we talk about United Nations having a so-called ambassador, and this lady, I just must say the name correctly. This lady, her name is Dr. Mazlan Othman, and this man is the director of the United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs, UNOOCA, and she denies that she's so-called an ambassador for the aliens. That's what she denies. But she's been interviewed recently, you know, asking that question: "Are you an ambassador for the aliens?" And then she said, "Ha ha ha ha! No, I'm not." But she is the director of Office of Outer Space Affairs, and that she is studying the political side of it. You see, it's kind of weird to deny that you may be an ambassador for aliens, but what she really meant is that she has direct contact with aliens, and that she's going to relay the message of the aliens. That's maybe what she meant. But it's interesting that this year, officially, the United Nations has an Office of Outer Space Affairs. What about that one?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of weird that they go out and they put all this information out and then they take it back. Like, I really think what's been going on with the sightings in New York, the sightings in El Paso, Russia, China, all these places, is they're getting the trial balloon ready for Project Bluebeam. Like, yes.
I totally agree. And what happens often is that UFO researchers are being confused with following an agenda for the New World Order, and that if you show stuff like that, if you show images of UFOs being featured by the media, and also people who I know personally that also filmed UFOs as well, and the moment that you do that, you're being accused that you are working for the government. I say, come on. I'm just sharing, you know, that this is happening and that we have to analyze it, and that, you know, when I do something, maybe it is good that I read this, because this is what I wrote in text, because I'm kind of sick and tired of being called names and being accused. I say this: all is for consideration purpose only. Nothing is absolute. I'm aware of the false flag operations, and I shared that views over 100 times. So most people know that I'm not a New Ager or a follower of anyone for that matter. am also aware that all or some can be fake, or can be hoaxed, or can be manipulated, or half-truths, serving a New World Order agenda. Sharing does not mean that I must endorse it, or that I see it as so-called evidence. No, please read my disclaimers better. And what I notice is that about 1/3 of the people attacking me are most of the time Christians, saying that I promote the demons. I say, come on. It's kind of ridiculous, you see.
Yeah, you think they come up with something a little better to do that with. And you know, it's funny because like, I mean, David we just had on, he's a minister, and you know, David represents to me what true Christianity is, not this harmful name calling that seems to erupt on the internet with a lot of these guys. Like, I know one guy that I've watched attack you was something to do with alien resistance, like, and
yes.
that was his big thing, is that he was going to shoot some aliens, I think. And
yes. I can say something about that, because it is intertwined in what I uploaded about this French lady that appears to have reptilian eyes. And she also does something with her tongue, kind of weird to see that. And she was on French television. And you being Canadian, you understand what she's saying, but I don't. I actually have no clue what she said.
You know what? I couldn't understand. I picked out little words here and there, but it's been so long since I've used French, because where I live, there isn't a lot of French speaking going on. So I've kind of lost it over the years. But yeah, no, it sounded like it was just a general conversation that they were having.
Now, the point what I want to make is that I had a vision. I don't want to brag me on that there will be kind of an application. How do you say this? That you acclimate. How do you say this word? It's a difficult word for me.
Application.
Acclimate.
Oh, acclimate.
Acclimate.
Yeah. Okay.
Acclimate. Yeah. That you adapt. That you adapt to the idea for why is it so crazy that you know, if you look at a cat, you know, just a cat. Look at a cat. You see actually reptilian eyes. But do you think that a cat is reptilian? No. But you see reptilian eyes. If you look at it, it has this strange eyes, you see. So that for certain type of animals having the same eyes as snakes do makes you wonder, you know, why is it so crazy that maybe we have hybrids? I'm not saying they must be alien, but just hybrids. And then it's the big question, is it created by man or created by an alien race? Because genetic engineering is real. You can Google, you know, that they can use a gene of a spider and mix it with a goat, and before you know it, you don't have milk, but you get silk that is stronger than steel, and they use it to protect against bullets. So there is a connection between gene manipulation and creating creatures. So it is, you can Google transgenics. Now, when you Google transgenics, every time when I say Google, I actually mean startpage.com, because I want to boycott Google. but still, there's a section within google.com that is called google.com/Uncle Sam. Now, why is that so important? People hear this. Google.com/Uncle Sam is that you're only looking in the you know, in the government websites like the CIA, FBI, NSA, FEMA, NORAD, NASA, and it goes on and on and on. So you can actually have this reverse Big Brother. I'm not kidding you. It's a reverse Big Brother. You can actually type in anything you like, and then you type in FOIA. That means Freedom of Information Act, and then you say FOIA released declassified documents on any topic. Any topic. It can be about UFOs, but be careful that most documents or government documents use different words. For instance, they don't use mind control. They use the word or term behavior modification. And they don't use UFO most of the time. They use the word unidentified aerial phenomena. So UAP is a word. Or they use the technical, the scientific word anomaly. So if you Google NASA and then anomaly in the air, then you get more results than if you type in NASA UFO. Do you get my drift?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you'll find a lot more of the truthful information. One thing I've noticed with this recent things in New York going on is that when you go to like YouTube and you type in New York City UFO, out of the few results I could find that were actual footage of the event, the rest was all guys trying to get hits for their videos. So
yes, that's also a new way of getting hits, is that you know that something is hyped, and then you use the same keywords and the same rhetoric, and then you make fun with it, which is I don't have no problems with people making fun of it, because part of it, satire and humor is what I also do. New World Order satire is a part of my program. I want to have some fun as well. So some people who say to me, John, you cannot make fun of this deep, serious stuff that you do. You don't make fun about that. Then I would say this to them: the moment that you not have a sense of humor, you become so rigid and so easy to frustrate that you become unproductive. So to have some fun is part of being alive. And come on. And I see people being so over serious, and of course those are bad things happening, and it needs to be addressed, it needs to be discussed. But I see myself that we are more than our physical. We are multidimensional beings. We have much more potential than we ever know. And as long as we see ourselves as being limited, and that we have to be deeply serious about everything, and that if it doesn't go our way, then we are so-called doomed, which I don't believe that we are doomed. We're scratching the surface of who we are. So my perception is not fear, but for a lot of people it is. And because for them it is so important that everything is so serious, then they forget the most important thing. That if you fight 24/7, 7 days in a week, injustice, if you fight injustice, and you forget to have a normal life, then you lost the battle. The only way to win is that you have also, part of your life so that you can have fun, that you can have excitement, that you go places, that you meet people, that you feel energized, and instead of doom and gloom and everything is bad, And part of that mentality that you feel that there's almost no hope for humanity, especially when you read retarded and morons and trolls and shills, then you can say, oh my God, do we have hope for humanity? Actually, the whole perception of how we are and who we are is exactly what the New World Order wants you to perceive. If you perceive that there's no hope for humanity, that's exactly what they want. Because then you become in this spiral of despair, despotism, and you feel not empowered, you feel powerless. Now, that state of mind, they invest in that you become like that, because then they have you. You see? As long as people believe that they are powerless, then they laugh at you. I mean, come on. It is so obvious that the mainstream media it gives the illusion that we so-called informed what is happening in the world, what is important. The opposite is true. Let's say that 90% of valuable, uplifting, empowering information out there, in all the countries out there, would be presented, let's say the best of each country, 1 minute. That would be at least 3 hours a day of news, what you never will see. So our perception is always like doom and gloom, you see, and sometimes we hear something positive, but most of the time we are being conditioned that we are doomed, and that we are, that we need to prepare for the worst, which is not a bad thing, by the way. It's always good to be prepared, but don't overdo it, because there are so many positive things happening at the same time. But they don't want to televise it. They don't want to talk about it because it will liberate people, like suppressed inventions, like freeenergynews.com. Go there, freeenergynews.com. I interviewed that guy, the website owner and the radio host there. It is one of many examples that we don't have to be in a state of fear or a state of being a victim mentality. David Icke says victim mentality generates more victim reality, same as poor me mentality generates more poor me reality, and there is a connection there. That's how you perceive yourself. So there's not a real information war. Actually, there is a perception war. So information war, we maybe already won that battle, because everyone can type almost anything and you will find it. So it's all there if you want to investigate. You give some keywords to people who are neutral, who are not made up their mind yet, and you can tell them type in Google this and this and this and have a look. And then they find it, they can find the sources and then give them the tips, like Uncle Sam, what I just said, that's reverse Big Brother, typing in google.com/Uncle Sam. And I say, type in, for instance, FBI UFO. Just do it for the fun of it and have a look. How much is declassified? And most people don't even know this, you see. And then people, when they do this, then they have their own sense of self-respect, that they are responsible for their own education. Have nothing to do with joining me. Have nothing to do that you have to believe me, because believe means literally accept without proof. that you feel that something is correct and that you feel it resonates with you. Therefore, you love to help someone because you believe in someone. But ultimately, it's about self-responsibility and that you truly want to verify. Even though you trust someone, you can still verify because it is for your own self-respect. And that is what we need to go to. That some people say, if you show this face of this woman with this reptilian eyes, you bring down the whole subject. The whole video is turned bad because of that last 4 minutes of this lady. Then I explained to my friends, because I was reading that text, on my comment section of ExomatrixTV, I was saying to my friends on Pal Talk, I say, you know what? If I show something, it's not because that I claim it to be true or claim it to be evidence. I just share this from this is happening. And this could be a part of this, acclamation program, that people adapt to the idea that why is it, this is happening. And not only that, I want the people study the eyes, because the eyes are widening and closing again. So vertical slit is literally moving. If it's fake, if it's just a eye contact, contact lenses, then how the hell do you do that? I mean, this is really amazing stuff. And then you see the strange behavior of the tongue, and I'm not saying it's evidence, I'm not saying it's ultimate proof, but it is very fascinating. And then you have another problem. You have people who are looking for high quality videos from famous people who are being interviewed by professional studios, and in the professional studios you have two very bright spotlights. Now, when you have two bright spotlights behind the interviewer, and it's pointing at the one who's being interviewed, then what will happen is that the light will be reflecting in the eyes and give the illusion that you're having so-called, reptilian eyes. What you don't, it's just a reflection of the light, creating the illusion that you have a vertical split instead of a circular black spot. You see, and that can be explained. And I challenge reptilian resistance, please film yourself having two lights hitting your eyes, and film yourself and have fun with yourself. You see?
Well, that's true, John. I as anybody that hangs around Bunker TV a lot knows, is I do a lot of video, and I've been big on this since it started happening, of these guys making these videos of their reptilian eyes, because it's a distortion in the digital feed from the studio. I mean, it can be easily explained. Now, in the video that you're talking about, that's a lot different. I've noticed in that video, it's obviously that she has reptilian eyes. And for those of the people that are watching right now, we have that video playing, and the girl with the reptilian eyes comes up towards the end of the video. So it's playing in the background. So continue, John.
I also am aware that there is a kind of strategies that I can think of getting more views and more people to consider, not to accept, but just to consider. Why do they show this to the world? Why do they share this in France? What is happening? Even if it's fake, then you can still ask the question, what is behind this? What is the reason behind this to do this? So what I think that is my own personal experience, I have seen myself personally that the eyes can change into something else. And when I was in doing UFO research and giving UFO conferences, was on the front page of the newspapers, including being interviewed on television or radio shows in 1996 and 1994. I've been threatened. I've been harassed. I don't want to go too deep into that, but then ultimately I challenged the guy who was threatening me. Like, okay, let's have it. I'm totally tired of it, being threatened. I asked them, let's appoint somewhere. Let's have a meeting somewhere. Let's go to Amsterdam. In the center, you have the Sleetsplein. It's a plaza. And let's meet. Now, I don't want to go too deep in that now because there's no time for it now. But ultimately, I saw a shape-shifting eyes before David Icke was talking about it. Because I saw it myself with my own experience, I don't laugh at David Icke. Do you get my drift?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, one of the people that has been hit the hardest has been David Icke, and anybody that's researched his information, I'm telling you right now, he's been dead on. And look, I thought he was crazy about the reptilian thing until I started thinking back to a situation I had when I was I was in high school, and it was obviously somebody that had some sort of possession, and watching his face change, you know, like turning into a very evil face in like a fraction of a second and then flashing back. And I don't expect people that are listening to this to believe me about it. You know, it's something you have to experience for yourself, because until you do, you'll never believe it. That's like this whole alien thing that's going on right now. My opinion is even if they're, you know, they fly, they land, they get out of the saucer, and there's little green men there, I'm still probably going to believe it's the government doing it.
Exactly. I see just that you see Transcendence. That's a I give this special credits to someone, because there's someone who made that video. It's not me. I'm just using a clippings or how do you say this, excerpts of it. And I love to talk about him a little bit, because some people are so shy and so, how do you say this, hardworking, and that people don't give them the credits, you know, the credits for the hard work they do. And this is the guy. It's called Daniel of Doria. Now, when you say Daniel of Doria, you have the O is a 0. So Daniel of Doria, and the O is a 0. He had a previous channel that's being suspended. So this Daniel Doria, he helped me, you know, to use some clippings, and he did some music editing, and I also promote his link on the video itself, and subscribe to Daniel Doria. But he made the best collection yet. I'm searching a long time. The best collection, what is happening in the world, of world reports from all over the globe, from Brazil, Japan, China. And can you remember that I predicted that it will be from an Asian countries that will trigger that the world must discuss this? Did you remember that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you people listening, go back after the show and listen to the archives, you can hear John say it right in the interview. And you nailed it dead on with that one.
Because the moment that I said that, 2 weeks later, it started it. It was, you know, China, Taiwan, Japan, and it goes on and on. All those Asian countries were pushing this like, this is happening, this is happening. And now it's even so far that there is even a city disappeared, and that you see a blue-white light, just like in the movie Skyline. If you see the Skyline trailer, which I also uploaded, and in the Skyline, you see also blue-white going, nesting, like they're hitting, like they're coming, slowing down, like meteorites hitting the Earth, but they're not exploding. They're just nesting within the Earth, and that's what you see in the Skyline. But guess what? It is happening in China. There's a report of a whole city, a village, not a city, a village being disappeared because of this blue-white dome-like energy being filmed from a distance, and you hear a weird sound. And some people say it's an interdimensional portal, that they maybe, and that's my take on it, maybe they just want to save that village. It sounds weird that I say that. Maybe it's not about destruction, it's about saving a village. Maybe there's something special there that they want to copy or to bring to a different location. You know, that could be a kind of a teleportation, what is happening over there. But then you have to question why. You know, have you seen the movie Knowing? You know, if you study this with Nicolas Cage, Knowing, you see this concept of, you know, this Ark of Noah, that all those important things on the earth will be harvested and maybe bring to a different location, because the sun will explode, or the sun will burst out huge, massive solar flares that will hit the earth, and that the aliens are aware of it. They are aware that this is coming. And because they are aware, they want to send a message for those who want to listen, those who can hear it. And it turns out to be that children are able to pick it up. But adults are so conditioned in state of fear and state of ego that they don't hear the voices anymore. They're not able to connect with purity or with beautiful beings, because they're so full of themselves, like, yeah, it must be evil spirits, or there must be demons, or there must be... So people are so full of judgment that they may be not able to hear the true, you know, calling. But that's my take on it. So when you look at Knowing, the question is, when you talk about the Ark of Noah, people, please go to BibleUFO.com. I'm not a promoter of the Bible, by the way, but BibleUFO.com is about, you know, understanding that the so-called aliens are always being with us all the time. just like a zoo. When you look at a zoo, the human beings have always been there from the beginning that the zoo was created. Do you get my drift? So all those animals within the zoo may not be aware of the caretakers. They just do their thing, and sometimes they see someone like, who the hell is that? Oh, he's giving me some food. But what I want to say is that maybe the whole planet is a zoo, you see, and that the caretakers knows that that there will be a solar flare hitting the planet, and that maybe that's the reason there's a massive sightings going on, because they know that that's my take on it. There's something going to happen with the planet, and that the quarantine, because we are living in a quarantine, according to many researchers, that this planet is under quarantine. And the moment that that there is this drama with the solar flares hitting the Earth, just Google the kill shot. The kill shot. Just Google it and see this remote viewer talking about it, predicting about 2012, and then talk about the unusual solar activities, not only that they have weird solar storms, not only that, it's also pulsating. Did you know that our sun is pulsating, giving a pulse, a very, very strong pulse energy? Have you heard about that?
No, actually, I hadn't. I have noticed that the sun has almost changed, like its hue. When I was a kid, it seemed to be a lot more yellow than it is now. So pulsing, it doesn't surprise me at all. Where was that reported?
You just Google NASA Soho noticing that the sun is starting to pulse. Now then you have to question, okay, if the sun moved in a certain particular direction, that has to do with that the center of the galaxy is so powerful that the whole galaxy has its shape because of the power of the center of the galaxy. That's the reason we have this shape in the first place. So in the center of the galaxy there must be a black hole, and guess what? Without a black hole there won't be no movement, and without movement there is no life. So in a sense, without a black hole, we would not exist. You see, it's kind of funny. People would say, my God, black hole, that must be dangerous. It must be something evil. Actually, it's the opposite. Without black holes, we wouldn't even exist. I mean, because all the suns moving and all this movement generates energy, and energy is what we exist of, you see? So if you talk about this effect of the center of the galaxy having a kind of even faster than light, you can call it gravitons, having effect on all that is in the spiral arm, and we are part of it. And it turns out to be that our sun is actually from a dwarf galaxy. It's called Sagittarius dwarf galaxy. You can Google that. Our sun is part of a dwarf galaxy being swallowed by the Milky Way. Now, that is interesting, that our sun is in a battle going from one power, that is the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, being swallowed by the bigger galaxy, and that this wobbling effect, this wave form that the sun is traveling up and down, not in a straight line, is because of it. Because of that, we have this weird behavior of our sun. Is because it is battling between two forces: the dwarf Sagittarius galaxy, and that's a small one, and the bigger one is the Milky Way. And that is interesting, because if the sun becomes a part of the Milky Way, then it means there must be more forces giving energy to the sun, and that explains this more activity, more strangeness. And that is maybe also the pulses is happening now. So this is fascinating. I mean, and this is predicted by not only the Mayans, it's predicted by almost all ancient scripture. They're preparing for this. So if this is true, that the ancient, who also talk about creatures from the sky going down to earth, interacting with us and telling us, some wisdoms and insights, and then it's up to us what we do with it. And if we screw up, you see, then we're going to blame them? No, it is us doing the wrong interpretation of it, you see. So we have all these infights on this planet because we don't know maybe where the source is coming from. And if all religions could be a result of lesser gods, I mean, they're still powerful, but they're not God. They're not the prime creator, because in my opinion, the prime creator is way too big for any religion, for that matter. And why should a prime creator have a need to be worshipped? I mean, that is totally ridiculous. If you have the power to create the whole universe, I mean, that is huge. So why should that kind of power need to be worshipped? Unless there are lesser gods, and that's what I call the aliens or the ancient races that needed us to do the job, to do the work, and it's not only Secretary Sechin that talks about this, Velikovsky and many others scholars that research this, that come to the conclusion we may be a result of genetic engineering, and that this planet is just a zoo, and that they know, hey, the sun is going to hit us with a solar flare. What is being predicted by this man, remote viewer, you can Google it, the kill shot. And then you have the movie Knowing talking about this. That maybe there's a connection between the knowing that something is going to happen to the planet, and therefore the caretakers of the zoo called Earth, that is in quarantine, has to be taken care of. So if you, let's say, that your animals in your farm is in danger. Let's say soon there will be fire coming towards you. What are you going to do? Do you just watch them die, or do you do something about it? You see?
Exactly. Well, it makes me wonder what exactly is going on with the visitations and whatnot. And personally, right now, what I'm seeing in the skies, and what I'm seeing in YouTube videos, because it's nothing I'm seeing here in the skies locally. It doesn't appear to be anything extraterrestrial to me.
No, not me. For me, I'm not convinced that is evidence of alien intervention or alien contact or alien visitation. This is just a kind of display of something weird, and then they make a twist on it, and then they hopefully can usher in the world government. I mean, there is, of course, the stepping stone, and the next step will be that they maybe use genetic engineered beings themselves. They created themselves. I mean, it's not far-fetched that they can create something that looks like an alien, but is not necessarily alien. Do you get my drift? You see?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, how do we know that they haven't done some weird genetic modification to bring something like that along?
Yes, and then even it could be that the hybrid that we create could be smarter than us. I'm not kidding you. It is possible that they. There is also this talk about indigo children, star children, and gifted children, and there are some people angry about labels, because then you box it in and then people think they can comprehend what is going on. But there are many very powerful gifted children, and very amazing stuff is happening. You just type in Google video search extraordinary people, and I can only say it is happening. And what I mean by that is that this so-called global shift of 2012 is happening now. It's happening yesterday. It's happening a couple of months ago. It's happening a couple of years ago, because this change is because of the, everybody knows about Nikola Tesla, this super inventor who invented so much. You just type in Google or start page search, Nikola Tesla, and you will find that this genius he's beyond imagination. He can speak, I think, 7 languages. He invented so much. Without him, the world would be different. And guess what? The majority of the profound people that change the world, they say they get it from dreams, or they get it from visions. So when people say dreams and visions are not important, guess again. A lot of inventors, just like Einstein, he said most of my ideas came from dreams. And then there is something to say about that. You can call it, I call it inner technology. There is something that you can compare it with the holodeck of Star Trek. When you go there, and I don't know if you see this science fiction series, you have this holographic deck, where you can, experience things but are not real, but you do it to learn something. You learn something about something. That's what they use a holodeck for. But maybe we have an inner holodeck within ourselves, but we don't use it because we think it's all just fantasy. It's just, but it can also be a kind of tool of quantum communication. Now, quantum communication, David Sereda made an excellent documentary on that topic, quantum communication. Now, if you visualize that you are walking in a forest, you start meditating and you start to visualize, I'm walking now in a forest, I have a beautiful landscape, and only pleasant things that you find, maybe you can remember that your father or mother took you to nature and show you how to, whatever you want to do in nature, and then you actually raise your vibrations, you focus on this energy, you come in a state of alpha waves, and theta waves, and then what you do, you create a platform in your visualization that sometimes things appears on that platform that you didn't make up, that you say, wait a minute, I was not thinking about that. What is this doing in my platform? And then the moment that you try to analyze it, you snap out of it. You snap out of this energy. You're becoming rational again. Like, what the hell is this? Now, this is interesting because I call it, can you registrate, can you monitor without labeling, without judging, without projecting what your limitations are on it? You just observe. Just observe, monitoring and registering without labeling, without labels. Now, people say that's impossible, but there is a way to do that. Now, why do I bring this topic up? Because this is key. The aliens, or contactees, talk about this. They say there is a way of communication. You can call it telepathy, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but there is this way of communication that uses a bigger vocabulary than our alphabet. Language is actually a trap. It limits us. We think that language is beautiful, but language itself, it's just another control grid, another control the masses to use limitation, because we are, limited to the alphabet, and we give it meaning, and that's how we communicate. But
well, it creates our reality. One just has to look at all the various words that don't exist in English that exist in other languages. I mean, that should give you a really good indication of how much of language is a trap.
Yeah, and if we realize that the subconscious, of course Jung is known about this, that the subconsciousness and the symbolic language, that this goes much deeper. Of course, this is becoming really fascinating because the secret societies are well aware that let's say the subconscious vocabulary is way bigger, maybe a million times bigger than our so-called language. So if you understand the subliminal and the subconscious language, that's what they use. That's what they do in advertisement. That's what they do in propaganda techniques and mind control and putting people in trance. But you can use it for bad, but you can also use it for good, you see. And because it is used for bad now, it has this a negative connotation to it. This whole concept of understanding the language of the subconscious. Most people feel that it is not practical, it's not useful, I don't understand, and it is probably just New Age crap. Or it is just a New Age belief. Now, I'm not talking about New Age because I'm not into that. I'm not into being a New Ager. I never ever felt comfortable with New Agers. Every time when I give lectures, I have a confrontation with them all the time. Because they are full of dogmas and full of so-called paradoxes that they claim to be free. And I can challenge them easily that they are not free. You see, but so I have widely debates with all kinds of people who so-called need a system. The moment, and this is interesting, the moment that you need a system, then you are corruptible. So you have to learn how to be systemless, that you can be without a system. And people say that's impossible. No, it's not. Because there is this inner awareness, I call it instant awareness. That's the power of now. The people have written books about that. That you can actually have access to awareness that is already giving you the highest, knowledge that is necessary for what you need in the now. But if you worry too much, then systems can stand in the way of having access to that awareness, because the system wants to be defended, it wants to be promoted. It is kind of loyalty thing. You have to prove yourself loyal to that, and before you know it, it becomes like a prison. You see, so people are hugging systems, not knowing that is your own creation, your own construct, that you think you feel safe in it. But it can also be an illusion, you see. So total freedom is literally having access to instant awareness. Now, and then people would say, how do you get access to instant awareness? What the hell is that? No, what I just tried to explain is just one tool. There are many tools. And you don't have to believe me, you don't have to accept it. It's just a way of understanding there are many things that we can use to access our potential so that we become less slaves, you see. No, and then if you have this potential of another way of communications, just what I said, that if you visualize yourself walking in a forest, you raise your vibrations, then all of a sudden you can see things in that vision that is not thought of by you. Then people would say, yeah, but that's of the subconsciousness. And then I would say, maybe this is the quantum communication of inner technologies, that someone can interact with you because you have you created a platform where you have this possibility of interaction. Now, and this could be the trigger for a lot of people that, hey, this makes sense. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to receive ideas and concepts, and then all those systems that wants to be defending their own systems kicks in and say, I want to prove my loyalty, and I will curse this person because he's in contact with demons, for instance. That is what people will do, or people will judge you for it if you try to find a different way of communication. And I think, wait a minute. So you have all those religious people and all those people who are defending their systems claiming that they want to get rid of New World Order tyranny. Meanwhile, they're creating a new tyranny, you see. and I think, what? Is this the freedom that they're defending? Do you get my drift?
Yeah, exactly. Most people that claim to have freedom as their #1 goal don't really understand what freedom means. I don't think they seem to always want to impose their views on everybody else and not let anybody else have their views, so that's not freedom.
It has to do with proving yourself loyal to a certain group or group behavior.
Exactly.
So, and as long as you have to prove yourself loyal to a group behavior, you have a problem, because then you're compromised in self-honesty.
Yeah.
And that is, yeah.
Yeah, well, as soon as you get into that group mentality, watch out, because you're going to get led down the rosy path. That's how all revolutions end up in bloodshed. You know, people don't realize that, you know, you can fight a revolution all you want, but at the end of it, you're going to be the one getting hung. That's always been the way it has been through the last 500 years. So if you think you get away with it now, you're foolish.
Now, I have made a statement, and I'd love to hear your response on this. It's called Vote Thumbs Up. Now, people that go to my channel see that the last 10 videos I uploaded, maybe it's 11 or 12, whatever, I start doing that when I post a comment under this video, it will be #1. I mean, because I'm the owner of the channel, that will be presented as #1, you know, in the text. So even if I have minus votes, it will still be #1, because I'm the one owning the channel, you see. And there's a good system of YouTube that they do this. And I came with the idea, I'm going to ask people to vote for me if I make a statement and I say, are you aware or are you agree with? So do you agree with or are you aware of? No, and when people vote for me, then the reason that I do this is that that they feel participating in my thoughts, because the thoughts that I'm sharing with you all, it has deeper meaning than only that meets the eye. So a lot of people see my statements and they think, what is this John doing? Listen to this. Are you aware, and here it comes, that most likely that the New World Order Mafia Shadow Elite will not allow competition from real benevolent ETs and/or real angelic beings who are not here to push or to manipulate or to deceive or to trick you into something that is totally the opposite of your spiritual freedom. Religion and New Age movement both can be hijacked to help the New World Order agenda to promote fear against the real benevolent ETs or real angelic beings. They laugh at you if you fall for their trickery. Now, this is a deep question, because you see the religions, pointing fingers at the New Age movement, that they are working with the devil and the demons, and the New Age movement pointing at the religions. You are full of fear, and you're full of, projecting your own limitations on that what you don't know what it is, and therefore you're judging, and therefore you create your own doom because of it. So you have all these different infights of how to deal with this UFO agenda. But if you think about what I just said, that the New World Order Mafia Shadow Elite will not tolerate competition from real benevolent ETs and/or real angelic beings. Now, why do I use the label angelic beings? Not because I necessarily believe in angelic beings. It is because it is a label that we use for our limited comprehension. Now, people will be offended by that. People say, how dare you to say that? I know that I have an angelic experience. Now, first of all, if you have an angelic experience, which I also have, I also can talk about that because I had near-death experience, as you know. But having an angelic experience is your interpretation of it. Do you get it? So, and then your interpretation is the tools that is given to you. So if you have only a hammer as a tool, then you probably see every problem as a nail. If you have more tools, then you say, hey, maybe I can fix it or look at it from a different angle. But if you, let's say the Bible, the Holy Scripture of your choice, is the only tool you possess, then you probably want to use that template and you project it on everything you don't understand. And then you use the scripture as a template, which is okay if you want to do that, but I see that as limited. And say with, it could be very well that that we have always have been alien contact or alien interactions, and we, with our limited comprehension, we call them angels or demons or spirits or whatever. But they could be very well highly intelligent, extraterrestrials who are just what I told you about the zoo. Sometimes the caretaker of the zoo gives them some food and then he walks away. You see. And maybe we are like a zoo, and people don't want to go there because it's extremely controversial if it's true. You don't want to be told that you are living in a zoo. You don't want to be told that you live in quarantine. We have this illusion that that there must be something that will take care of us in a positive way, and that we never been slaves. Now, come on, look around you, how we have been conditioned. And also, when I was watching the Hubble telescope pictures, the latest pictures, of the new discovery of new galaxies and new stars, I came to the realization that, my God, what is this huge? I mean, this is so huge. It's so unbelievably big. And I was thinking, what if that there is enough space out there? And the last time I checked on space.com, I think there's enough space out there, you see. So maybe, why is it that we feel that we have to defend our, this piece of ground that we have, and we are fighting each other over it, and that we have artificial scarcity? Maybe there is something in other worlds that artificial scarcity doesn't exist, and therefore they have a total different behavior because of it. And then there is a discussion. Imagine that you have a world where abundance is normal and that artificial scarcity doesn't exist anymore. And then people say, yeah, but what then happens, that will destroy creativity, that will destroy, people become totally docile and totally complacent, and they don't want to maybe use the potential anymore because they're not triggered to do something, because there is no danger anymore. So that could, so being in an abundance and being that everything is perfect can also lead to not being aware of the danger of that someone can abuse you. You see what I mean?
Exactly. Being aware of your surroundings, I think, is more important than just about anything. And how do we know where these, if there are aliens or not? Like, there's no way we can really tell.
Unless you have an experience with them, and then you have to believe it. And there's also another problem. Even if you have a genuine alien contact, which could be real, they could also lie to you.
Exactly.
And all of those dilemmas, I'm always frank and open about it. A lot of people assume that if I have an alien experience, I must believe the alien. No, I don't. Actually, I'm extremely skeptical about anything that claims authority. I mean, I'm anti-authorian, so every time when someone says this has to be done, I say, screw you. I do my own thing. You see, maybe, and this is what I want to bring up. Maybe this planet is a complete experiment. Like, this artificial scarcity is kind of ridiculous. I mean, free energy exists. You can almost heal everything. There are so many things of evidence of suppressed alternative cures. It's beyond I don't know how to explain it, but it's so overwhelming how much is being suppressed. I mean, that's my passion for 20 years, to study suppressed cures for AIDS and cancer, for instance, and it goes on. And then I realize maybe the reason that we have artificial scarcity is part of the experiment, because then we behave differently. But if we have abundance, if we have everything goes perfect, then what's the reason to have ambition, or to do something better? Maybe that will dissipate, and therefore we become like drones. So it's kind of funny, because we think we are drones. We being accused of being sheeple and being drones and being like zombies, but ultimately the other side of the spectrum leads also to zones and zombies as well. You see, so there must be a middle ground between that you have the courage to find out that how much is being suppressed, and that take courage, and that you to speak about it. I found out that this and this is being suppressed, and I want to share this with you. I'm aware that it's dangerous, but I do it anyway. How many people studying free energy technology, and then how many variations are uploaded of people say perpetual motion doesn't exist because it is ridiculous. You cannot get energy out of nothing. That's what they claim. But we live in a sea of motion. So everything is motion. You know, the atoms is motion, the electrons is motion, the planet is motion. So if you think about it, if we live in a sea of motion, motion is energy. So why is it so far-fetched that you can tap into that? It's not that far-fetched. And keep in mind that the frequency of light is only 1 out of 1800ths of the whole spectrum of frequencies. And you know that solar energy is free energy. You can actually have solar panels, but what they don't convert into energy is microwaves and infrared and violet. You know, you have all these different frequencies, but the military is well aware that there are other waves that can be converted into energy, in free energy, but they don't want to tell you. They don't want to share this with you. They want to keep you in this artificial scarcity, you know, this scam that we are so-called so depending on government. But the ultimate truth is that almost every problem on this planet can be solved easily. And I'm not talking about the Zeitgeist movement. I talk about something that goes beyond Zeitgeist. I mean, my passion of looking for suppressed inventions and discoveries. After 20 years, I come to a huge amount of data and evidence that is so overwhelming that when I saw Zeitgeist, I see that as just a fraction of what is out there. So when I talk to the people of the Zeitgeist movement, they want to push me that I have to promote them. I say I don't have to promote them, because there you have it. There's another system. Do you see the problem? We have a system, a need for a system. But the moment that you have a need for a system, you can be corrupted. You see?
Exactly.
So what I all about is that people is learning to do networking and reclaim your sovereignty, reclaim your inner authority, and say, this is what I stand for, this is what I found out, I'm responsible for my own quality of thinking, and act accordingly. And I'm not going to blame anyone for my own quality of thinking. But if you join something, and they tell you what to think and what to do, and you do that, and then later it turns out to be incorrect, then you always can blame them. And that's the easy part. That's the convenient way. But the hard way is that you take full responsibility for your own quality of thinking and acting accordingly. And then you meet like-minded people thinking on that level. And then you have a network of independent thinkers, rebels and dissidents who wants to share thoughts and share ideas and concepts. And that goes beyond Zeitgeist. Actually, I could make a documentary that goes beyond them. And beyond the infights between Christians and Zeitgeist movement. Because ultimately it boils down to loyalty, it boils down to defending your own belief system, and feeling threatened by someone else is doing the opposite, and vice versa. They feel also threatened by you, and it goes on and on. It has nothing to do with what will bound us, what will really connect, and that's the Project Infopowerment all about. Project Infopowerment is to empower through awareness and information that can liberate all of us, including Christians, including New Agers, including atheists, including Muslims, Jews, doesn't matter. We all can be liberated with this infopowerment awareness. And it has nothing to do with having power over someone else. It has to do with self-empowerment. Now, people say that is New Agey. No, not necessarily. Because think about this concept. A lot of people have respect for power. For instance, there are people who have respect for certain people that are so powerful, can do this and that. But ultimately, I can reverse that. Anyone who needs to have power over someone else, make a clear statement that they do not have it. Because the moment that you empower yourself first, you do not need to have to rule over others anymore. Do you get my drift? This is key. So anyone who says, I am powerful, I can do this with people, I can manipulate people, I can, I can let people do things for me, therefore I am powerful. But actually what they say, they are complete parasites. They're not able to empower themselves first. They're totally depending on others all the time, and it's pathetic. That's my point of view. So I have no respect for those who have power over someone else. I have only respect for those who can empower themselves first and living it and being inspiration for others without pushing it, without forcing it, without telling others what to do. You just do it, and then people can say, hey, I love what you do. I love to do it, the same but a little bit different, because everyone is unique. And what works for me does not have to work for someone else, and vice versa. What works for the other person does not have to work for me. And if you respect that, if you agree to that it's not a crime to be different, and that things will work for you does not have to work for me, and vice versa, and you respect it in each other, then we can coexist without having fights, you see?
Well, that's the big one. There's always seems to be a lot of infighting going on, and you know, it's funny because I try to stay out of the infighting as much as possible. On the odd occasion, I do get involved in certain situations where I feel it's beneficial to everybody, but you know, I see a lot of people wasting their energy on it, and I think, you know, really we have a lot more important subjects to tackle and research than worrying about what the guy on the other show is doing. We kind of really need to chill out with all that stuff and not get so attacked.
The moment that I'm appreciating Christians, Muslims, Jews, atheists, because they also act like a religion. If you really study their behavior, it's almost a religion, atheism. But all those people who have a loyalty thing happening, that they have to prove their loyalty for what they are part of, I all appreciate them, even if I know that they are limited. And it sounds kind of cocky and sounds kind of arrogant when I say that. But everyone who's supposed to be a so-called inspiration for everyone is still limited. David Icke is still limited. Bill Cooper, he's still limited. Alex Jones, he's limited. All of them, including me, I'm also limited. And that's the beauty of it. You can still appreciate each other, even though that you know that everybody has his own boundaries, his own limitations, his own followers of that you talk to, and that you have a kind of, because I know that Alex Jones wants to please the Christians. It's obvious, because he himself is a Christian, which I don't mind. I don't mind. I appreciate everything he does, but he's not all-knowing. He's not the one who have all the answers. He's just a fraction of what is going on, and still he's important to me. He's just like a key to the bigger picture. So if all these different people, what I just said, atheists, Muslims, Jews, doesn't matter. As long as you don't impose your agenda on someone else, I have no problem with you. And I can still appreciate your efforts, your creativity to deal with the tyranny. But the moment that you want to use your own tyranny and push that on me, then we have a problem. And then, sorry, you don't get it. You are fighting tyranny, and then you create your own tyranny. But imagine that there's civil war now. Imagine that there is a massive uprising, and that there's an internal battle going on, and that some of the generals and colonels will, expose the New World Order, and that there's an infight within the New World Order, and that all of a sudden you have a massive uprising, people being armed, and they want to overthrow the government, and let's say that happens. I can almost predict that any kind of violence that has been promoted ultimately lead to a new so-called military coup that creates a new tyranny. And they will tell you who is working for the New World Order and who not, and who is demonized or not. And he will be killed because he's working for the government. And then you get, the law of the jungle. Now, this anarchy or this uprising of people being angry is obvious that this is going to happen. It's not if, but when. Now, when there is a civil war coming, be aware that anyone who is the most righteous, the most angelic being on the planet can still be a symbol of manslaughter and people being innocents dying because of it, and people judging too fast, and therefore people dying because of it. So this will be not a nice one. Even if you have a revolutionary going on that you can overthrow the puppets and thinking that you did a smart move, keep in mind that the ones who are then leading the group can be corrupted and hijacked by the same people that you want to get rid of. So before you know it, you can study all revolutions, the French Revolution, the Communist Revolution. It's almost orchestrated by all secret societies, and they're well aware that once in a while there will be an uprising. They're preparing for that. So they're going to create certain puppets, and that's difficult because you have to be careful with who you think is the one that's being corrupted or being used as a puppet for the New World Order agenda. And then people say, if you're still alive, you're not legit. You're only, for real if you die. Now that is kind of weird. So like Bill Cooper, he died. That's obvious, and that he was exposing 9/11 before Alex Jones does. That is, I'm aware of that. I'm also aware that that Bill Cooper is much more than what Alex Jones is portraying him. Like he's just a drunk man, and he is, using foul language, and that he is only into UFOs, and he's not into that, and it's all propaganda. So what you will see is he make a bad summary, and dishonest summary about who Cooper is, and that is exactly what people do to him, And then I say, wait a minute, you are doing something to Bill Cooper what other people do to you, and then you blame the others that they are wrong. Meanwhile, you do the same thing. You also, demonize Bill Cooper. Now, one thing for sure, everyone who have read the book Behold the Pale Horse knows that it's not only about aliens and about UFOs coming out of the ocean. He's done much more research than that. And I personally met Bill Cooper in 1993 in London. A lot of people maybe don't believe it, but I did. I shook his hand. But he is not flawless. I have enough evidence of Bill Cooper that a lot of people would say, "My God, he has some mistakes." So I'm not, I'm not a guy who wants to worship someone because he's so powerful with his message, because he is very powerful. This book, Bill Cooper's book, is very powerful. That was a big inspiration for me, by the way, when I was reading it in the early 90s, when I started to do research in conspiracies. But he's not flawless. He's also limited, and I can have enough evidence, and I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but I can make as much evidence of the flaws of Alex Jones as of with Cooper, almost identical mistakes. So people who say that Alex Jones is full of shit realize that if they are followers of Cooper, I can do the opposite. I can also show evidence of Cooper, who I dearly respect, who I really admire. I'm not kidding you. I'm admiring Bill Cooper, but he's not a saint.
Exactly.
He's not
well, I agree with you. I've had a lot to say over Cooper, Alex Jones over the last few years, and it's been a lot of it that it was just hearing Alex Jones slandering Cooper on his radio show, and
I heard that. It's terrible what he does, and maybe it is all about two big egos who see themselves as competition.
Exactly.
And who gets the more following.
Well, and that's what I think it is. I think what it came down to is that Cooper had a problem with Alex's reporting on Y2K, and probably went around the wrong way of dealing with it, like bringing it up and making it all public when he could have just maybe emailed Alex and talked it out off the air. I didn't agree with necessarily the way he did it, but he had a good point, and I think that's what started the feud, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's a feud, and the reason Alex Jones doesn't want to talk about it is because he feels betrayed almost, because you could tell during the interview that he did with Cooper back in 97, 98 that he had a lot of respect for Cooper. So
yes, I know that Alex Jones also... when I was listening to the questions, the interview with Cooper, what I noticed is that he is looking up to him. It's obvious.
Exactly, and Cooper, I think Freeman said it the best a couple weeks ago on his radio show about Cooper. He had it coming to him. He asked for what happened to him. It wasn't so much that, it was some evil plot hatched by the Freemasons to kill Bill Cooper. It was Bill Cooper asked for the trouble he ended up with. And I hate to say that because I'm a big fan of the work he did. I love the Mystery Babylon series. I love Behold a Pale Horse. His videos are outstanding. But truth be told, I mean, the man, he got too paranoid. He got worried. He didn't have... I guess now things are a little different. A lot more of us have a more positive outlook on what's going on, but at the time there wasn't that many people awake, and it didn't look like people were going to wake up. It took 9/11 for that to happen.
And I think that if you look at it from a psychological perspective, because I want to make a video log, a vlog soon on my channel that people can see my face and can see my facial expression when I talk. And I'm going to call myself a truther counselor. Not that I really think I'm an expert. Actually, I call myself, I'm not a professional, but I'm authentic amateur. You see, I want to be an authentic amateur than a adept, controlled professional. You see what I mean? Because people who claim to be professional, but I'm not. I'm just an amateur. But who want to be, as authentic as I can be with my mistakes, with my flaws, just like everyone else, by the way. Like, Alex Jones has his flaws, and Bill Cooper has his flaws. But the moment that you allow yourself that you are a human being with the mistakes, you can literally let go of the stress and being completely in the now, and be of service in your best quality or the best potential that you can do. But if you worry too much about what other people may think of you, then you can see it in the eyes. I see so many people talking to the camera, and you see them worrying. Oh my God, how do I put this? You see, it's like they're almost afraid to be judged. And so what that you make a mistake? I mean, as long as you're willing to learn from it, and that you walk the talk, that you admit, hey, this is a mistake. Next time I do it better. And people see the difference, that you indeed progress, that you learn from your mistakes, and people can see that. And if more people are willing to see that we all make mistakes, we all can have this struggle. And when I'm being a so-called truther counselor and giving a psychological profiling of well-known truthers, I'm not there to attack them or to expose them. No. The moment that I make a psychological profile on certain famous truthers, I do that to give my limited perceptions, my limited perspectives, and that you can consider it, that maybe that you get more understanding where someone is coming from, what his weak points are, what his strong points are, and that you can appreciate the strong points, and that you have compassion for the weak points.
Exactly. Have you ever thought about doing that show live?
That's also maybe an idea that you started. And I know I was working for a European-based truther network radio show in the past, and I'm on record, by the way. Pal Talkers can verify my claim. I claim that this idea of a European-based truther or non-American truther-based radio shows, networks of conspiracy researchers, those who are freedom fighters. I talked and discussed this on Pal Talk in 2006 and 2007 on record. It's all recorded. But I never did something with it. But it would be cool if we have a kind of a network of new people with fresh ideas, with total new strategies, new tactics, new angles to approach this tyranny. Because when you look at it from a Christian perspective, like this Tea Party movement, that is also provable being hijacked by Sarah Palin and other Republicans and Demopoplicans who's supposed to be fighting for freedom now. It's obvious it is a scam. The true original Tea Party movement, in my opinion, are constitutionalists, oath keepers, Ron Paul. And if you study the latest developments and so-called the documentary about the new Tea Party movement, it's all about neocons repackaging freedom fighters and hijacking for their purpose to still have this, left against right, Republicans against Democrats.
Exactly.
And the true Tea Party movement is beyond this dualistic thinking, is beyond this left-right paradigm.
Well, one thing I've noticed, and maybe it's something that in the U.S. everybody knows, but in the rest of the world nobody has really picked up on yet, is that the Tea Party is just the conservative, the GOP. There's no difference. Their candidates are running against GOP candidates for GOP nominations to run in the elections. Like, come on now, that should tell you everything you need to know right there. It's just the conservatives doing it. But well, John, that's something maybe we should have a chat about, because we're looking for new shows here. I can't say too much about one show because I haven't had enough chance to talk with the host. But there's another gentleman that's interested in coming on Bunker-TV, and we're bringing out a few new shows. We're going to have a show called Bunker Schools that I'm going to sit down and I'm going to teach people how to do web design and video editing and all kinds of crazy stuff that I work on. And as well, we're going to have the return of a great comedy show that was one of the original podcasts out there dealing in subjects like this, but it was a comedy show, and we're going to be bringing that back too. But I'm not ready to make an announcement about that, so you guys all have to wait. But
I'm willing to help you out if you say, hey, John, I'd love to have you. Let's say half hour or an hour a week. There was also this Mr. British Truck who came with the idea to have a European-based radio, resistradio.com. And I was happy to offer my services. I'm also aware that some truthers don't like people who discuss UFOs and aliens. They see that as part of the distractions, and they think it's part of the New World Order agenda to discuss UFOs and aliens, which I don't. I'm not a follower of anything. I'm not promoting New Age. I'm not wanting people to believe me about UFOs, because it is vastly more complex than it meets the eye. And there is a lot of deception and lies and hoaxes and manipulation going on, but it is a very highly explosive area, that's the reason Alex Jones don't want to touch it. Because it's kind of funny that if people defending freedom, but then again some subjects are so overwhelmingly complex and huge that they don't want to touch it, because they know this will lead to extremely explosive infights. That people will argue about it endlessly, endless debate, because Christians will talk about it as the demons, and you're working with the devil, you're helping the New World Order, and then you have other people saying we will be saved, which I don't. I don't think that we are being saved by UFOs. Actually, we can save ourselves, because we already have the technology, we have the suppressed inventions, we have this. There's so much being suppressed, it's beyond belief. But the thing is that ultimately it leads to all this networking, all this different people want to express their opinions. There's always a consequence. So when I offered to Resist Radio, they were bickering me about, and this is interesting, bickering me about thumbing up my own messages. I was voting up my own comments. Now, the reason that I did that, because I have 11 channels, the reason I did that is to preemptive strike abuse by trolls and shills that were harassing me. They were following me and thumbing me down all the time. So then I decided I'm going to preemptive strike my own comments and thumbing them up before they have the chance to thumbing me down. You see what I mean?
Exactly. That's a good idea.
So I did that not because I want to show off or want to show to the people that I'm right, because I can make mistakes. I can still be, say stuff that is incorrect. But then I said to Mr. the British Truck, I said to him, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I have to stop doing that. So I admit it's wrong. And now all of a sudden that was the excuse that I'm not welcome on the radio show, because I'm thumbing up my own comments, you see, and say, come on, there are bigger issues in the world.
Well, look, John, if you're interested in doing a show on Bunker TV, you have total control of it. I don't really get involved in the content. That's more up to you guys than me. I just want to make a great channel.
I'm more leaning towards you than anyone else for multiple reasons. First of all, your personality, the way you build websites, because it's really impressive. The way you do video editing, that is awesome. So you have so many talented gifts to offer for the truth movement. It's obvious that you are very high on my list of priorities, and that's the reason I promote you. That's the reason I take effort to be on your show, because I see you do it really well. And what I found strange is that you're actually very good in what you do, but you don't have much subscribers. And I think, how can that be? And the only thing that I can imagine is that you may be just beginning with all this promotion, and that you can need all the help you can get. And that's what I do. I try to help you that you get known, that this Bunker Television get known.
Well, exactly. No, well, that's really appreciated. I know we get a lot of hits from your sites, and like I said, John, it's nice to know that there's other people out there that understand where we're coming from, that we're not trying to make people believe a certain viewpoint or hear a certain thing. We want everybody to look at all the information, not really believe any of us, but go find out for yourself. Let you come to your own conclusions about it, and then you'll have some really good perspective on what's going on in the world. But anyway, I gotta wrap up the show here, John. We're do you have any last words you'd like to say?
The last words that I have to say is that if anyone has a YouTube channel and has is not imposing your own views on anyone else, you're not with one issue mission. Some people have just one issue, like exposing Alex Jones or exposing Bill Cooper or exposing David Icke, or you're only focusing on the Christian point of view and that's all. If you're that limited, you're not welcome in the Project Infopowerment. But if you have something like, I love to learn from all different angles, and I try to fight tyranny, I want to do something against the New World Order, then you can actually contact me. You go to ExomatrixTV, and you can be part of that list. Now, when that list is, I'm working very hard to do something special. I can work with RSS feeds. I think you know what it means, RSS feeds.
Oh, yes.
You can actually show the latest uploads of each channel automatically on a website. I can arrange that. So everyone who's part of the Infopowerment will have a special link where you can see all the latest uploads automatically displayed. And I will arrange that for all those who are, at this moment, are 70 channels together now. And with this concept of new kind of unity against tyranny, that's my slogan, new kind of unity against tyranny. And you also are part of the Infopowerment Network. And Sentient Mind and Max Egan and there are many others who are joining. Believers Underground is also part of the Infopowerment Network. But it is not a movement. And that is extremely important that I repeat that over and over. We are not a movement. We are a network of independent thinkers wanting to make a difference and allowing each other to be different. And it is not a crime to be different. So anyone who have this kind of principles, guidelines, and disclaimers that I have on my channel, if you say, hey, that is wonderful how it's been explained, this is the key of unity, of true unity, then I want to assist this project and promote it as well. And then the bigger the network and you understand the principles, then finally we have something that we can unite, finally, because there's so many people trying to unite the truth movement, because it's very difficult.
Exactly. It's there's a lot of infighting over differences of opinion, and really the one
Tactics,
thing one thing I really enjoy about the Infopowerment movement is that everybody has their own viewpoints, and everybody's okay with other people having different viewpoints from them, and that means a lot. Okay, John. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be talking soon. I'm going to put all the links up to your website here in the show notes. And is there one specific link you wanted to give out?
No, if you type in empowering.whynotnews.eu, so empowering.whynotnews.eu, you see 15 websites that I've built. Actually, I've built much more, because that site is outdated. I have to update it with new special effects. But that is kind of a overview, like a portal to all my activity. About 4 months ago, I made this portal. So 4 months ago, I created this portal, but it has to be updated now because I created 7 or 8 new truther channels. Also, people claim that I never talk about Zionism. It's not true, because I have built a truther website, a tribute site called truthhertz.whynotnews.eu. Truth, and then hertz is H-E-R-T-Z. Hertz from frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Truthhertz.whynotnews is number 21 on my ExomatrixTV. That deals with Zionism. So I deal with all kinds of things, including Jesuits. People say, oh, why don't you talk about this? You must be working for them. I say, come on. I'm open to discuss everything, every angle that is going on, including Zionism. So I'm not excluding anything, including talking about reptilian shape-shifting eyes, you see. I just added it in the video, and this reptilian resistance, he claims that I'm in denial, which I'm not, because I saw it myself when in 1994. So I'm not in denial. I just have my own point of view how to deal with it. So you see, I have my own perspectives how to deal with this topic.
Exactly. Okay, John. Well, have a good night, or I guess it's daytime over there for you. But enjoy your day, and we'll be talking soon.
And thank you very much, Rob. You do a hell of a job of bunker-tv.com.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. We'll be talking soon.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, folks. Well, thanks for joining me for another episode of Bunker TV, the Jungle Apocalypse. I guess it's the Jungle Apocalypse show. It's been a long day for me, long weekend. So I'm just going to close out the show with a little speech by Bill Cooper, and just to set some information straight that happened the other night. On Alex Jones' 24-hour podcast about something he said about the belief of Bill Cooper and aliens, and I thought it was important to play this. So I'm going to close the show with that. We'll see you next week. We've got Dan Dix from Press for Truth coming on to talk about his latest film and some of his activism, and that's going to be an interesting show. I'm really looking forward to talking to Dan. I'd like to say thanks to everybody that was listening tonight. That's really cool that you all came in live. Next week, you can just jump in the chat room and convert with all of us. I have a little chat window open here so I can keep track of everybody that's asking questions and whatnot. And one of these times, we're going to try Skype calls. We're still working on that stuff, though. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. The websites are bunker-tv.com and jungleapocalypse.com. I'm Rob Davin, and we'll see you next week.
Years ago, many years ago, back in 1972, I was sitting at my desk at about 4:30 in the morning at the headquarters of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet, arranging the information that had come in over the last 24 hours into a logical order so that we could prepare a briefing for the Admiral and his staff, which would take place later that morning. Among the papers I found on my desk was a document entitled Operation Majority, and it was not the entire paperwork involving this operation, but was merely a synopsis of the operation and projects contained under it. One of these projects was called Project Red Light. The purpose, according to this document, was to back-engineer captured extraterrestrial technology for adaptation into the United States space program. Now, I have since come to believe that the extraterrestrial portion of all of this is nonsense, but that the technology is real. I believe that many of us were shown these documents over the years so that later we would talk about it. I mean, how can you keep the existence of extraterrestrials, if they were real, a secret? And how could anyone keep quiet knowing that they had seen documentation, official government documents labeled top secret, that expressed that these extraterrestrials were real and had visited this Earth? I wanted to know just how true all of this was, and I began a program of research to find out if extraterrestrials were real. The first thing I did was collect every bit of documentation that I could find, both from the Freedom of Information Act, from the research of others, from books that had been printed on the subject of UFOs, and of course through my network of friends in the intelligence community. What I discovered was amazing. What I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, is that there has been a plan in existence since about 1917, and probably before that, to create an artificial extraterrestrial threat to this Earth in order to create a one-world totalitarian socialist government. One of the first documents that I found in my search was this one, the Imperial Japanese Mission 1917, a record of the reception throughout the United States of the special mission headed by Viscount Ishii. And when the Imperial Japanese Mission was in New York City, they had a dinner, and some pretty famous people spoke at this dinner. One of them was John Dewey. John Dewey is the father of our failing, disastrous public education system. Here's what he said. Listen very carefully. John Dewey, professor of philosophy in Columbia University, who was the next speaker, was listened to with great intentness. He said, quote, "Someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack from some other planet. In the face of such an alien enemy, people would respond with a sense of their unity of interest end purpose, unquote. Now, bear in mind, folks, that's 1917. One of the next documents that I found, and I found quite a few, but one that's pretty important, is called the Report from Iron Mountain, the Probability and Desirability of Permanent Peace. Now, I encourage you to find this book, wherever you can find it. I don't know where you can get it, but find it. Page 66. Credibility, in fact, lies at the heart of the problem of developing a political substitute for war. This is where the space race proposals, in many ways so well suited as economic substitutes for war, fall short. The most ambitious and unrealistic space project cannot of itself generate a believable external menace. It has been hotly argued that such a menace would offer the last best hope of peace, etc., by uniting mankind against the danger of destruction by creatures from other planets or from outer space. Experiments have been proposed to test the credibility of an out-of-our-world invasion threat. And it continues on another page. Nevertheless, an effective political substitute for war would require alternate enemies, some of which might seem equally far-fetched in the context of the current war system. It may be, for instance, that gross pollution of the environment can eventually replace the possibility of mass destruction by nuclear weapons as the principal substitute for war. Are you beginning to get the message, folks? Poisoning of the air and of the principal sources of food and water supply is already well advanced, and at first glance would seem promising in this respect. It constitutes a threat that can be dealt with only through social organization and political power. But from present indications, it will be a generation to a generation and a half before environmental pollution, however severe, will be sufficiently menacing on a global scale to offer a possible basis for a solution. However unlikely some of the possible alternate enemies we have mentioned may seem, we must emphasize that one must be found of credible quality and magnitude if a transition to peace is ever to come about without social disintegration. It is more probable, in our judgment, that such a threat will have to be invented rather than developed from unknown conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, they have created so many alternate enemies in order to bring about their one-world totalitarian socialist state that we don't know which enemy to believe is real or is false, or whether to just toss them all out on their ears. And I think that that is probably going to be the best solution. Disarmament is no accident. All of these bills in Congress to take away our weapons is no accident. The intentional environmental pollution of our lakes, rivers, streams, oceans, forests, everything is no accident, as you just heard. These things were planned many, many years ago. All the bombardment of the public with movies about flying saucers in the 50s, right after the United Nations Treaty was signed and the UN Participation Act was pushed through Congress, and all of the incidents since that have convinced the majority of the American people that flying saucers are real and extraterrestrials exist, and that flying saucers are from an extraterrestrial origin. This is being promulgated in many ways, by television commercials, in the movies, in the newspapers, by creating incidents either real or imagined. I believe, because of my research and because of the extensive documentation that I've found and that is in my book, that this whole scenario has been created to give us an artificial alien threat from outer space. During the Reagan administration, he made 6 speeches, specifically talked about a threat from outer space by some other species from some other planet. 6, ladies and gentlemen. Why would the president repeat the same thing 6 times, tagged on to the ends of speeches by him? The speechwriters did not put that in the speech. Ronald Reagan added it himself.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This was a powerful suggestion to implant into the minds of the people of the world that there really is a threat from some other species, from some other planet to this Earth. Now, you people out there have been ignoring the UFO phenomenon for too long. It has all the earmarks of the most successful, most sophisticated mind control operation in the history of the world, and you are ignoring it. What better way to implement a plan to bring about a one-world government than to create the possibility in the minds of the people of the world that we are being threatened from some other species, from some other planet, and do it in a way that if anybody questions it or challenged it or wants to talk about it publicly, that they are ridiculed.
And the ultimate goal is to make the Earth look very small, to present the people of the world with an external threat to this Earth, a superior race from some other planet, vastly superior to us in intellect, philosophy, and technology, in order to cause the dissolution of nation-states, the dissolution of all existing religions, and the formation of the world totalitarian socialist government.